Hi Stampers, this is Sally Poole, independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'll be making this card using the Wonderful World stamp set and designer series paper that are in the upcoming celebration catalog. Here's the front of the mini catalog that starts July 1st. This celebration catalog has the items that you'll be able to get free with your $50 or $100 purchases. So hopefully you've got these catalogs and got some things picked out that you're going to order on the 1st. The first thing we're going to do is color a few of our pearl basic jewels. That way we'll be sure that they're dry when we're ready to place them on the card. And I used one of each size. There's small, medium, and large. You can color whichever ones you want, however you want. So that is the dark Orchid Oasis Stampin' Blends. I'm going to do a medium with the lighter Orchid Oasis and a small with the same color. Okay, and we'll set those aside and let them dry. It really doesn't take very long to dry, but this will give them some time. So now let's stamp our image and our sentiment. I find the best way to put a stamp on a block is just to let it naturally fall and then pick it up with your block. The red rubber is a little more forgiving than the photopolymer. The photopolymer tend to want to not quite be in the right shape, and if you're die cutting it makes it difficult. So we'll just take a piece of basic white paper, ink up our image, and give a good press. You don't ever want to rock your block, otherwise you might get smudges all over, and sometimes it'll pick up the excess ink that you've got on the edge of the rubber stamp. So let's let this sit for a little bit. We'll set it aside and let's stamp our sentiment. I'm using the Sentiment Beyond Grateful from the Charming Sentiments set. It's got a bunch of great sentiments, and then it has these dies that coordinate with all of these sentiments, and it just cuts around the edge. It almost looks like somebody fussy cut it really nice. So I'm also stamping it in Orchid Oasis. That looks good. So we'll let that sit. Close up our ink pad so I don't make a big mess. Here's actually the paper and the stamp set. This Wonderful World stamp set and the Wonderful World DSP are free as a set with a $100 or more purchase during celebration. So it's a great set. Grab it if you can. I really love it. The papers are beautiful. So let's start with our card base here. It is cut at 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/4, and I've used the Orchid Oasis cardstock. Sorry, I had to change my glasses. Give it a nice crease. And then I've already cut the next layer out of basic white. It's a piece cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I've already embossed it with the Subtle Dynamic Textured Impressions embossing folder. That's a mouthful. This folder is retired, but of course any folder would work just fine. I thought this one just looked pretty on here. So I'm just going to tape it down. And I normally, when I'm taping a panel, I only do the outside edges. But things that are embossed like this, I like to make sure it's going to stick down a little better. Sometimes the edges tend to creep up. So next we're going to cut our DSP layer, and I'm using the Deckled Rectangles dies set to do that with, and I'm going to use the second die from the largest. Let me get my big old well-loved Big Shot here. Snap, crackle, pop. You know it's doing its job. Okay, we'll set this aside. So there's our panel cut out with that die. Next we can cut our image panel, and for that I've used the 4th largest die from the same set, the Deckled Rectangle dies. Back comes the Big Shot. Run that through real quick. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to attach the image layer to the Designer Series paper layer just with tape. And I really have trouble covering up this beautiful paper. This is my favorite sheet in the pack. It's just gorgeous. Probably should have made cards with it that weren't covered up so much. But they still come out real pretty. Okay, and then next we can attach the Designer's Series paper layer to the embossed layer. And I'm going to add a little extra tape here too, since it's going to sit on that ridged embossed layer. So next, let's cut out the sentiment that we stamped. place the die on top of the stamp and tape it down a little bit. Bring in the mini Stampin' Cut emboss machine. Oops. Layer 1, layer 2, paper die, second layer 2. Oh my gosh, my dogs are snoring again. You guys are gonna think that's all they do is sleep. Okay, now we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this sentiment and pop it up. A week ago, it was raining here in Oregon. In fact, it rained pretty much the whole month of June, which is not quite normal. Today, we're expecting a high of 96 degrees, which is way out of my comfort zone. So let's try to lay our sentiment on here straight as we can get it for a handmade card. And then we can put our pearls on the front. Put one there. And one there. There. And I also put some Wink of Stella on the original card. I'll do this one too. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on this video. I just lightly went over the little flower petal pieces. I have a love-hate relationship with Wink of Stella. I either barely have any coming out and you can't see that I've even used it, or I have a giant flood and there's petals all over everything. So sometimes I'm afraid to use it. So I don't know if you can see the shimmer or not on there. I hope you'll give it a try because it really is pretty. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you hopefully will fall in love with this set like I did and grab it when July 1st rolls around. Make someone's day this week by sending them a handmade card. I sure love getting them in the mail. Bye for now.